So, hello everybody, welcome back. So, I wanted to answer a question the best I can with the limited information that I can give you. And it is about the jump from inflation to hyperinflation. And some of the consequences of that, and some of the causes of that, and some of the signs that things are going to be weird or bad or whatever. So, keep in mind that I'm not an economist or something. My mom is, but she will have a very specific information, and I don't know how to convey that into this video. And anyway, before I continue, I wanted to remind you that down below is my email in case that you want to help me out by sending an Amazon gift card. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I also have some books in Gumroad, and I have a PayPal account. So anyway, the best I can come up with, okay? Considering that I'm putting a lot of information in my head to try to put it in order so that you may be able to understand the thought process, because experience process, oh hell, that's just another story. Emotional process, oh hell, is another story. So anyway, my best information is this. 1999, President Chavez came into power. As soon as he got into power, there were journalists and everything, in interviews and documentaries, explaining that as soon as he took power, there were farewell parties for the elite. About maybe 0.5%, maybe 1% of the population, the very, very, very wealthy and stuff, they left. They just sold everything and they left. Whoever could leave, left as soon as he took power. Other people started noticing, but they did not believe. They did not believe things could go wrong. So, also, we have a culture of so much partying and stuff that nobody took it seriously. Now, then Chavez started doing several things that went against the main industries that supported our economy. This was the mining, because we have, oh my God, we have, and I do mean we freaking have a hell. Oh hell, the word hell is not even enough to cover. We have a hell of a lot of minerals and resources. Like, my God, it's insane. You wouldn't believe it. Even if you were here, you wouldn't believe it either. It's just insane, the amount of resources that we have. It's like you dig a hole and you get diamonds or something. It's insane, the amount of resources that this country has. The resources that we have could probably rival the amount of resources that the US have, kind of like that. So try to imagine that, and we are not that big. So, oh hell, we have a hell of a lot. So we also have, but the main one is not even the gold or the aluminium. It's not even the gold, the aluminium, or the silver, or the uranium and other radioactive materials, or the coltran, which is, very, very, very expensive, or all the other things. The main industry that we have is oil, as in, petroleum. So Chavez started saying that it wasn't fair that this industry was controlled by people that was, according to him, rich because they went to school. So basically, he was against everybody who went to college and everybody who studied a college career. He was against that. He didn't want anybody who got a college degree running anything because he said that experience was more important, and he said that college degrees were useless kind of thing or whatever. So he supported the idea of you getting a college degree. It's just that he didn't want it to be originated from the ideas of capitalism or things like that, because he said that you shouldn't be rich or you shouldn't be, able to make money just because you studied, stuff like that. So he said that anyone could run the oil industry. So he wanted to prove it, and he basically took a whistle, and in the middle of a TV show, he said, "All of you are fired." All of the industry. And then people were kind of like, what the hell? I am an engineer. What the hell are you going to replace me with? You can't replace engineers just because you have somebody that says that they can do it. It's not easy. It's not that you can just press a freaking button, okay? It's not about that. Engineers are more than that. But whatever. He said that it was so easy, and he didn't want, anybody that he didn't trust or whatever running the oil industry. So basically, he shut down that. At that time, we had a gasoline shortage. Everybody was supporting the, either side. Some people were supporting, obviously, Chavez because they loved him, and other people were supporting the people from the oil industry because obviously you can't have, somebody that has no experience whatsoever taking the place of an engineer. What the hell, So it's kind of like committing suicide in a way, because what the hell? So, but he did it anyway, and he was so freaking popular, and everybody was kind of like, the topic now was, why are they making so much money if you are just an engineer and stuff like that. So the whole thing went to hell because at the end, he won. Chavez won. So basically, people that were running the oil industry left. They just took their things, and they sold whatever the hell they had, and they left. So this was about maybe 1 or 1.5% of the population. And shortages started to appear because obviously the oil industry produces not just gasoline, but it also produces plastics. It also produces gas, as in, not the air thing, the one that is kind of propane and stuff like that. So, this was insane because now things started to go up in prices. And he wanted to raise the price of gasoline. At that time, gasoline is almost free. And I'm not freaking joking. You could fill up your entire car with gasoline, premium gasoline, by the way, with maybe 5 cents. And that was a big maybe, because sometimes you could even, just get it done for free. So, oh hell, point being that now the gasoline was still being free. The petroleum prices were up more than $100 per barrel. So Chavez was getting a hell of a lot of money, but he didn't invest that money in the industry or anything. He just took that money and then he decided to give it up to people so that they didn't have to work. He created a hell of a lot of subsidies for everything and a lot of social programs. And he told people that you didn't need to get a degree from a college per se, like a university, but rather you can just take a course of something, and then you can become a doctor. And so basically, all you had to do was pass a test about anatomy, and then you were a doctor. And these institutes were giving college degree things and everything like that, to people that didn't went to college. They took a course, and now these people are thinking that they are actually engineers and doctors and whatever, and they don't have the knowledge to do anything. Now, this is going to influence the job market, and is also going to influence the wages. The wages will affect inflation, and they will also affect hyperinflation later on, because now people feel that they can do anything, and in fact they are kind of doing anything. So they are making easy money. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, is making a hell of a lot of easy money. Easy. You don't have to work hard for getting any money. All you have to do is be a little bit smart. And then Chavez created the Cadivi thing. The Cadivi thing is like I told you, several different exchange rates, so that you can get things subsidized and stuff like that. The idea was that because he was getting so many US dollars, over 100 for barrel, that it was just an excess of US dollars. So he said that you could get them for a cheaper price than you will get them in the bank if you were going to import medicines, and if you were going to import food and stuff like that. In a way, this destroyed the local industries for producing food, and it destroyed the local industries for producing anything. Because if you as a company have to pay a US dollar in 100 bolivares, but somebody that is importing is not going to pay, 100 bolivares for a US dollar, but they are going to pay 10, so they are making 90 bolivares out of nothing, out of thin air, because of that. So that created a huge gap, because now, let's see, the definition of inflation is not the rise of prices. Oh, hell no. You need to consider the fact that the elites are changing the definitions on concepts, okay? If you were to college, you will know, or you were an economist, you will know that inflation is an excess of an asset in a particular area. And when that excess of assets, like money, or excess of gold, or excess of something happens, that excess creates pressure. And that pressure will create increases of prices and decreases in prices of something else, as a way of balancing things, because economy is all about balance, curves and balances. So when you have excess of something, obviously something has to rise in order for you to keep up with that excess. And something has to go down or low in order for you to try to keep it balanced. So this is why, the government at that point will try to, manage the interest rate and do other things, so that you can try to manage the excess thing that you have. Instead, right now, everyone has 90 bolivares, because the exchange rate was, let's say, I'm just saying, let's say that it was 100, and the companies are paying 100, but you as a person, regular person, are paying 10. So that 90 that you are selling to the company, and that 90 of the difference is an excess. It's a huge excess. Because let's say that you're making $1,000 per month as a salary, and all of a sudden your company gives you a raise, and then you are making $10,000 next month. What the hell are you going to do? Now you had $1,000 and now you have $10,000 every month. It's a hell of a lot of difference. So that difference means that you are going to spend it somehow. You're not going to leave it in the bank. So every time that you're going to spend it. If somebody says, yeah, do you want to have, a grape peeler? You're going to say, oh yeah, even though you don't need it, and even though you don't want it, and even though whatever. So this excess is creating demand that it is not real. It is artificial because you can't sustain that exchange rate for a very long time. So these huge demands on things that was insane. I mean, people were buying yachts, literally, because gasoline is free or inexpensive or something. And services are almost free in my country also, because, by the way, we also have very, very cheap kind of services, and very, very good, by the way. At that time, we had. And then, it was insane. So, people started thinking that there was inflation because prices started to rise. And at that point, they were started to blame the companies, not the government, and not themselves, but rather they will blame the companies, because they were kind of like, why are you raising the price of these if you're getting US dollars for 10 instead of 100, just like everybody else or whatever. And the companies were like, no, we are paying 100, we are not paying 10, so oh hell no, we are keeping the prices. And there was a war with Chavez about the prices and stuff like that. And Chavez won again, so he froze the prices on a hell of a lot of things. And at that particular moment, scarcity was, present up until last year. And it was really, really, really freaking bad. When you had the scarcity, now you have different kinds of markets. You have black markets, you have gray markets, and then you have the actual market. So it was insane trying to get something. You could get it, but then depending upon where you got it counterfeited, you got it, bad accidents started to happen, and a hell of a lot of things have started to happen. And these also create even bigger gaps between the prices. So if you pay for a deodorant $1 in the supermarket, and then you had to be there from the day before because otherwise you will not be able to get it, a lot of people did not want to go through the lines, because sometimes you will have to spend 2 or 3 days in a freaking line trying to get a deodorant. It was that bad. And people decided, okay, we're not dealing with this. We are going to sell it. Some people, like if you work in a supermarket and stuff like that, you got all these merchandise and then you started selling it at $2 or $3. Again, you were making easy money with no effort whatsoever, and now you have an excess of money in your hand because you're making money out of the sale of these things that, is insane. You bought it for $1, you are selling it at 2 or 3, and you are selling a lot, and basically you're not working. So a lot of people started making even more money by doing nothing. So this created even more pressure. Every time that you have money that it is being made without having something to support it, you will have inflation. And this kind of inflation can go up to 2 digits, as in, it will be from 5% up to, 90%. Because, like I told you, these people are selling the deodorant for $2 or $3, and it costs $1. That is 300% the time, the money that, that you're supposed to pay for it in the supermarket. So, it's insane. So the inflation went from, like I said, from 0 to 300% in several things. Now, these add up in small amounts. If you add it up to your salary, the inflation rate was about 50 to 70%. If you add it up to your salary, because you're paying for a deodorant, $2 or $3, it's not going to break you, and it is not going to affect your whole economy as your household, because the deodorant is something that you buy every 3 or 4 months or something. However, when this affected food, oh hell, when it affected food, things went out of the window, like literally out of the window. And This problem started in 2001, and by 2003, 5% of the population was starting to leave. They were starting to sell everything, and about 40 to 50% of the population were now having very severe kind of financial problem, as in they probably should have declared themselves bankrupt. And this was because this kind of problem and inflation affected food. As soon as this affected food, then basically you were done. You couldn't afford food. This, in 2003, people started leaving like insane because three things. Number one, you couldn't afford food. Number two, you know, you could afford transportation because, like I told you, transportation was free because you could get gasoline for free. However, it started affecting the spare parts for the cars and something like that. So transportation became a little bit more expensive, like 10 or 20% more expensive. So if you have food that is going up 70%, and then you have transportation that is going up 20 to 30%, that is an increase on your expenses of 100%, and you don't have money to cover 100% of your expenses. Let me explain this. You are making $1,000. You were spending $1,000 last month to buy, whatever it is that you're buying. This month, the same thing, exactly the same thing, is going to cost you $2,000, not $1,000. What the hell do you do? So at that point, people started leaving. Some people, not all of it. Because at this point, what the government did is that they started to create the collapse, they started to create security zones, they started to give subsidies to people, they started to introduce a new kind of ID. It was the government's ID. And from that point forward, the inflation was so weird because things were going up and down in prices. Like it was, you were kind of like, what? This thing is 1 cent? But yesterday it was $1. And you're telling me that today is 1 cent. And it was like that. It was like, my God, what the hell? And this happened because the government decided to chase down and punish all the people that were supposed to be importing food with the exchange rate of $10 of 10 bolivares for $1. So if you made the money but you didn't spend it in importing the food, now you were going to jail. So a hell of a lot of people started, importing food and doing a hell of a lot of things, trying to fix the problem and not going to jail because of all the corruption things that they did. And so they started chasing small fish. So the small fish brought a hell of a lot of food that were very, very, very cheap. And there were so many things that, because, when food started to be so high in prices, the government blamed the importers. This time they were not the companies. This time they were the importers. And if the importers didn't fix the problem, then the government was going to literally put them in jail and torture them, kill them, whatever. Just so that the people will not blame the government. So the importers that now have a hell of a lot of US dollars and they have a hell of a lot of bolivares, they are importing like insane. So the food goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's going crazy. And scarcity is still in the order of the day. If you wanted to have something that was produced in my country, you could not get it because there was a scarcity, because the oil industry is collapsed and you can't have access to the packaging system for the food. If you don't have access to the packaging system, then basically you have no food. So this whole situation was going even further into hell. So by 2005, crime rose about 250%. I'm not joking. It was a time in which if you were outside of your house after 5 p.m. And somebody mugged you or something, they will blame you. Because they were like, but you know better, what the hell are you doing in the street at 6 p.m.? And stuff like that, So having teens at this time, it was the worst freaking nightmare that you can possibly go through, because they're going out, and now there are police people that will stop them to take the car away from them. And then you will have, oh my god, you have no idea, you needed to learn how the hell to bribe people and to do a hell of a lot of things. And when this started happening, because middle class people now needed to deal with these underground kind of people, the middle class people do not know how to do this. I have said it in another video. Bribing is a skill. If you do not know how the hell to do it, it's going to break you, not make you. There is no way in hell that that thing is going to make you. It is going to freaking break you. And at that time, people started selling the houses and stuff like that, and they started to also leaving. And there were more kidnappings, and there were more, a hell of a lot of more things. And this was literally, the starting of this thing was like 3 years after that.